Thank you, Scott. Good to see everybody here. I too have to turn my phone off. In our world, if the phone goes off in a meeting, it's a fine. So I'm turning my phone off as well so you don't have to find me. So how many of you young people ice skate at all? Raise your hands for me. Oh, how many of you actually played hockey?
Floor hockey.
Floor hockey? Well, that works. You had a stick in your hand. That counts. So we get a little feel for my audience. Scott gave you a little bit of my background, but I'm going to go into a little bit more and have a little fun with myself. Any of you ever heard the country song, I've Been Everywhere, Boy? It's an old country song. Well, my roots are kind of like that. My mom and dad are born in Calgary, Alberta, which is Western Canada. My dad played football and hockey at the University of Denver. I was born there, was there for 2 years. Moved back to Calgary, Alberta after he graduated. We're there for 3 years. He decided to need his master's. He moved to Eugene, Oregon. We all did. He got his master's in a year. We moved back to Calgary, Alberta, was there for a year, then we moved to Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. We became a hockey coach. We coached there for 2 years, then he got his PhD at Ohio State. So we're down there for a couple of years, and then after he gets his PhD, we moved to Windsor, Ontario, where he went there, and he was a physical education teacher. He taught anatomy and phys of X. We were there for 5 years, lived in 3 different homes. In my senior year of high school, we moved to Ottawa, Ontario, where I played junior hockey there. Then I came to the University of Wisconsin. I was here for 4 years. Graduated in 4 years, and then I turned pro. My first job was with the Minnesota North Stars. They sent me to Oklahoma City. I was there for a year. Was minor league player of the year. I thought, well, I was going to make the big club the next year. In training camp, broke my ankle. I set my ass back down. The big center iceman in the North Stars, a guy named Bobby Smith, broke his ankle. Was out 3 months. I got called up, never went back down. Stayed there for 5 years. Got traded to Calgary, Alberta. Played for my college coach up there, Bob Johnson. Was there for 3 years. Had too many concussions. So I retired. I was 28 years old, had 2 kids. I didn't know where I was half the time. So if I blank out on you up here, it's okay. I'll be back. It's just momentary. So I'm 20 years old. I'm retired. I'm already retired in my life. I got to find a new profession. The thing that I had a teaching background. The thing I knew best was hockey. I was really lucky. I got a head coaching job. University of Wisconsin, Eau Claire. Was there 9 months. Got a new job at St. Cloud University. St. Cloud State. They were starting a Division I program. Went up there. 9 months. And I got a call from an old buddy of mine, Paul Holmgren. He was coaching the Philadelphia Flyers. He wanted me to go join him as assistant coach. Uprooted the family. Away we went. Was there for 3 years. Got sent down. Went to the minors. Coached there for 3 years. Then we got fired. When you know you're a coach when you get fired. You're not a coach until you get fired. You're really not a pro player until you get traded. So we got fired. So there we were. We didn't know what to do. Had a family. We decided to go to a place called Shattuck St. Mary's. It's a prep school in Minnesota, south of Minneapolis. We were there for exactly 2 years, settling in really nice. Family was happy. Got a call from a buddy. He said, you want to go to Europe to coach? I said, where? He said, Finland. Finland, where the hell is that? It's on the same latitude as Anchorage, Alaska. Are you kidding me? So I said, no. Went home, told my wife. She said, that'd be a great opportunity for our family to get educated abroad. I looked at her like she had 3 heads. Are you kidding me? Guess where we went? Finland. So we were there. We were supposed to go for 2 years. We went for 1 year. The education system was a little different, but we were there for 1 year. Our kids were in high school by this time, and so the family went back to Shattuck St. Mary's. I had to find a job. I hooked on with the Pittsburgh Penguins. So I lived away from my family for 2.5 years. Got fired at Christmas time 2.5 years later. Got my ass back to Shattuck St. Mary's, was there for a while, and that was pretty fun to be with the family again. Had to get another job. There's a program with USA Hockey called a National Development Program. They get the best 16 and 17-year-olds in the country, grade 11 and 12 kids. They send them to Ann Arbor. Went there, coached for 2 years, had some success. Kids were moved out, was looking for a new job, and we were blessed that this job opened up here at our alma mater. And we were able to get the job, and that was 11 years ago. My wife and I moved 28 times in about 22 years of marriage before we came back. So she says it best. She says, you know what? The circus came home. And we've been here now going 11 years, and it's been an absolute blast. So that's a little bit about my history. Before I get started, I have to do something here. I have this really bad habit of leaving my car keys in the car underneath the mat, because I always figured I knew where they'd be. And my wife and I would argue about this all the time. She says, honey, somebody's going to steal your car. No, they won't. I know where they are. They're on the mat. I'm good to go. So a week ago, I was speaking to some coaches about youth hockey and coaching. And I'm getting ready to leave. I give myself the old FC8 pat down. Guess what I can't find? I can't find my keys. I'm going, I left them in the car. I look out in the parking lot. There are no cars left. I'm going, I'm in trouble. Grab my cell phone. I called the police and said, look, I think somebody stole my car. Give them all the information, la-di-da. Now I got to do the hard phone call and call my wife. Called my wife. I says, honey. I always call her honey when I'm in trouble. Never going to guess what happened. I left the keys in the car and I think somebody took it. There's a great big pause on the phone. She goes, you knucklehead, I dropped you off. I guess it goes part and parcel of being 56 years old and hitting the head too many times. I don't know. But I'm thinking, this is great. Car's not stolen. I says, honey, come pick me up. She says, oh yeah, I'll pick you up as soon as you tell the lieutenant I didn't steal your car. So that happened about a week ago, so I had to make sure I had my keys on me before I get going. My plan tonight is this. I know you get points at pizza for coming tonight, so it's kind of a success. Look at the room we have. But I hope this night has a little significance by some of the thoughts that I'm going to share with you. I don't know it all, but I've been blessed to be on teams that have been fortunate enough to go and win world championships or national championships. As a player, I was able to get to the Stanley Cup Finals twice. Was the bridesmaids both times, but it was pretty cool being there. So what my plan tonight is, I'm going to pretend, and you're going to pretend, that you're the University of Wisconsin men's hockey team. The presentation that I'm about to share with you is exactly what our boys got. It sets our season up. It talks about things that we want to achieve this year, even before we get on the ice and while we're on the ice, to help give us the best chance of meeting our goals and dreams. Now, I'm going to step out of character time. Sometimes I'm going to be the coach, and then I'm going to turn my hat around, and I'm going to be that little voice that talks to people. So that's my goal here tonight. And at the end, I hope you have questions, and I hope you have enough intestinal fortitude to have the courage to stand up and ask them. So as we're going through this stuff, please remember those questions, and we'll see what kind of things you have on your mind. So, for the Wisconsin Hockey 2012-13, maybe I have to do it this way. There we go. We make the analogy with our hockey players. This is the other voice talking right now. We equate winning a national championship to climbing Mount Everest. Mount Everest is 29,028 feet. It's about 5.5 miles above sea level. It's the tallest point on the earth. We break it down into different camps so that the season becomes manageable. We start at the base camp. And down there we have our meetings, we have our physical testing, and then we go to Camp 1. And then you see our games are listed out there. Camp 2, we have 3 games. Up to Camp 4, we have 3 games. Camp 4 to Camp 5 is 4 games. So we have a plan, and we go back and we look how we did from Camp 1 to Camp 2, Camp 3 to Camp 4. So instead of looking at the whole thing, which looks unbelievable at the beginning, like saying, we're going to get to the top of that, yeah, right. We got to make it into pieces. So this is a visual for our kids. This is our goal, and this is how we're going to attack this mountain, is by putting it into bits and pieces. I have a real good friend that's a mathematician, and he firmly believes that he can explain anything to anybody in the form of an equation. He says it's the simplest form. So this is if our challenge is to get to the top of Mount Everest and win a national championship, we have this equation that explains how we're going to get there. We used to talk about success. Success is what we were all about. But success just defines a small part of it. If you talk about excellence, then you talk about every part of your life. Every part of your life. The Navy SEALs, who are very publicized right now in our society, they have a saying: the way you do anything is the way you do everything. The way you do anything is the way you do everything. So they, in fact, talk about excellence. You are student athletes. The way you do your schoolwork has a direct result of how you will be on the ice or on the court or on the field. We have a group of Navy SEALs that come spend time with us in the fall. Last year they were in the pool with our guys, and our guys almost drowned. They had them in a pool with a hooded sweatshirt. They had to tread water in 8 feet of water. They had to take the hooded sweatshirt off. They had to hold it up on command. They had to hand it to a teammate and get it back over their heads, and everybody had to do it within a certain time period. Well, we had the weakest swimmers near the front, but I want to tell you, I watched this. There was fear in their eye, and they had to take care of each other. It was about the guy to the left and to the right of them. The way you do anything is the way you do everything. So it's about excellence. So we're talking about excellence now. It's equal to having goals, your dreams, having a strategy. We'll talk about that. And then going to work. There is no magic pill. Everybody thinks when you go on a diet, if I take a couple pills, the weight's going to come off. It doesn't work that way. You and I both know that. And the common denominator is passion. You got to enjoy what you do. There's got to be something in there that makes what you do on the athletic field fun. Somewhere, somehow, you still got to enjoy it. So that's the way we put our formula together for our guys. We talk about missions and goals. We talk about missions for a person, a student, and an athlete. To be fully integrated young men and women. And we talk about men, we have women here. As a student to graduate with a degree, as an athlete to play championship hockey. Not that we're going to if we play championship hockey, we give ourselves a chance of winning. That's why that's our mission. If we get to that point, there are no guarantees. Our goals, which are little bitty things, person to give back to the community. With our guys, we go over to the Children's Hospital in the second half of the semester. We take 6 guys every Wednesday night for 2.5 months, and we go to the Children's Hospital, and they are blown away by what they see. At first, our kids don't know how to talk to these young people. They're a little bit in shock, but these kids are just fearless and brave and tough, and they actually start the conversations with our guys. So by the end of the night, our guys are able to freely talk with them. But that's part of what we do in our, as far as helping our people be fully integrated. As a student athlete in goals, our goal as a student, we want to get a 3.0. In the last 4 semesters, our hockey players have done it. Our men's hockey players have done that. And then as an athlete, our top goal is to win an NCAA championship. So this is how we break it down for our guys. This is our strategy, okay? We have our goals. We want to win. Let's say we talk about the goal of winning an NCAA championship. This is our strategy. Anybody know John Wooden? Beside the coaches? Any of you young student athletes? John Wooden coached at UCLA and won 10 straight. That many. 10 straight NCAA basketball championships back in the 60s and 70s. That is unbelievable. And he had a pyramid of success. When I was a young athlete, I actually read about him and thought it was pretty cool. Well, later in life, I was able to be a part of a staff, and we made a pyramid ourselves, but we only have 5 levels. I don't know if we weren't smart enough to comprehend 32 levels, but we have 5 levels. And this is our plan to be successful. At the base of our pyramid, as coaches, we want to go out and try to find people who have natural ability and who have good character habits. And what are character habits? Well, they're people of their word. They look in the eye and say, Coach, I'm going to be here at such and such time for a meeting, and then they're there. When the bus is going to leave at 11 o'clock, they're there at 10 to 11. Those are good character habits, very simple ones, but that's what we look from young people. Just think about that. If we got talented people that are good people as well, what a place to start, isn't it? Unbelievable base. And the reason that John Wooden took a pyramid is because it's got the broadest base of any structure, and the pyramids in Egypt have been lasting for 5,000 years plus. So you got a great base. The next level we look at when we try to get young people to come play for us, we want people that understand that hard is okay. You've got to play hard. We had a coach of the Pittsburgh Penguins say, if you play hard, you give yourself a chance to win. If you don't play hard, you don't have any chance. So at least play hard. Any of you ever read the book or seen the book, Talent is Overrated? Talent is overrated. The premise is that talent isn't the most important thing. It's your ability to work hard. There are lots of people out there that are talented that don't work hard, and they don't get very far. If you work hard, you give yourselves a chance to be successful. The next level is we want people that are smart, that understand concepts, that can learn from each other, can learn from the coaching staff, and we can take the way they see the game right now, because everybody sees it at a certain level. We we want to see if we can expand that level to go out here and understand more. And in order to do that, they have to have some level of hockey IQ, soccer IQ, basketball IQ. So we want people that have that ability to learn and become smarter. And then team, they have to have a concept that they're not the most important thing in the world. If they understand that, then we have a chance of getting to the top of the pyramid. So if we talk about those levels and we work at those levels, the winning is a byproduct of all that. And what that circle is, every week we go back and we look at video and we talk about, okay, how was our hard, how was our smart, how was our team? And if we do a good job at that, by the end of the year we'll be playing our best, in our case, our best hockey. So that's our strategy to get to the top of Mount Everest. These are things that we look at when we talk about habits and ability. We talk about being scoped, being dialed in. And these are areas, and this is up in the locker room. S stands for being selfless, part of the team thing, being other-centered. If you can be that, you're going to help your team be successful. To be of character. And notice that the verb be is there. Be. Be is action. It's a little verb, but it's not just selfless. It's be selfless. Be of character. Grow in leadership qualities. Always for being organized in details. Details build empires. If you want to be a championship team, you have to take care of details. That's a part of the equation. If you're going to cut details, you won't make it to the top. Details do build empires. Be prepared, and it's the will to prepare. When you go to practice, what's your transition from school to the ice? What's your transition from school to the court, to the field? Because if you don't change over, you'll be on the ice and you're thinking about that, geez, I got that paper to do, and you're going to get smacked in practice. You're going to practice brutally. You have to set aside some time to have that transfer from school to your practice field. The will to prepare. There's no shortcuts there. Be energy wise. This is something that our kids that have left come back and say, you know, coach, I still hear you say that. Control what you can control. So the coaches got tested today. Listen to this story I was sharing with Scott. We go on the ice for practice today. We have a brand new facility. $27 million practice facility, new locker room. It's sick. That means good, right? Okay. It is truly sick then. So we're going on the ice, and there's a lift on the ice, and they're fixing stuff in the ceiling. So they're supposed to get off. The hydraulics break. They can't get it down to get it off the ice. So we're looking at this. Okay, what do we do now? Can't bitch at them. I mean, they're trying to get it done. It's a problem. So they get it down as low as they can. They go down to one end of the rink. So we're trying to do practice in half a rink. We got 26 guys. We're trying to control what we can control. Well, they fiddle around for a while. They're able to get it down. Now they can get it off the ice. So we make ice. We go rest. We come back and we have a pretty decent practice. Now, what we could have done was you could have swore and banged their stick and this is bull sugar and all that crap. The players are looking at us as coaches. Well, what are you going to do about this, coach? We control and we can control. We tried to get as much done as we could with what we had. And it's a valuable lesson for life. You're going to have things that happen to you that don't make sense, and you're scratching your head. And you can just cuss, control what you can, get done what you can, and move on. And then the last one is to be disciplined, which is a self-discipline. Good habits in your life. There was a little book that was written in the 50s called The Greatest Salesman in the World by a guy named Og Mandingo. Great name, Og Mandingo. About 60 pages. And he said, be slaves to good habits. Because if you're slaves to good habits, and late in the game when you're tired, you're going to stay with those good habits. Those good habits are going to make you what you are. So these are things that we talk about with our guys and we talk about. It's funny, if you came into our locker room in between periods, you would be amazed at how many times we're not talking about the game, we're talking about life skills. We had this young man named Ryan McMurtry, 220-pound guy, could skate like the wind and shoot a puck, but he had a fuse about this big. So when he would get hit, he said, you son of a puppy, you can't do that to me. And he would slash him or he would cross-check him. And he would be in the penalty box. And we would talk about, and so I'd grab him in between periods. I said, Ryan, what are you doing? You cannot do that, son. You're hurting your team. You're hurting yourself. You're not playing. What are you going to do when your boss reprimands you for a job that you poorly did on a project for your company? You're going to punch him in the face? Now you're going to get fired, go to jail. Your family's out of finances. The game of hockey is going to give you an opportunity to learn how to deal with your emotions. This is between periods. We're talking about life stuff. Because hockey is life, life is hockey. Soccer, basketball, whatever you are in, you have the opportunity to learn from that sport. So you would absolutely laugh sometimes when we talk about in between periods, because we're talking about life. We're talking about the lessons that can be learned. So here's some of the hard issues. And I'm not going. This is more specific to hockey. Have a great work ethic. Be physical and aggressive. You can't do that in the workplace. It's not a good thing. Your work ethic, and you can get in early and do those kind of things. Be intensely competitive. I like this one. Not that it doesn't matter if you're 5'6" or 6'5". You got to find a way to get it done with what the good Lord gave you. If you're a small little guy, you got to be quick. You got to have great body position. If you're a big guy, you got to use that big body. You got to use that big fanny or long arms, whatever you got, and make it work for you. And then lastly, be highly conditioned. And because, now you've heard of Vince Lombardi. You have to heard of Vince. Vince said, fatigue makes cowards of us all. It's a great quote, but what the heck is he talking about? Fatigue makes cowards of us all. What he was really getting at, if you're not in good shape, and you get into a game on the field or on the ice, and it's late and you're tired, you're not going to think the same. You're not going to play the same. You're not going to make the same good decisions. But if you're highly conditioned, you recover faster, and you'll be able to think better and longer. So that's why that's a part of playing hard for us. Smart. For us, we talk about playing physical without penalties, being mentally alert in all different situations. These are specific to our game. And good fundamentals. Now, Scott asked me if I was going to juggle here tonight, because I'm a juggler. It's a hobby I have. It's something that I use when I speak. But if you have good habits and you are good fundamentally, man, it's a brilliant thing to have on your side. So whatever business you go into, whatever sport you're playing, coaches all the time, you got to get the fundamentals out. They aren't joking. They aren't joking. It's a big, big deal. How to play with and without the puck. So this is kind of interesting. I think this applies to basketball and soccer. I don't know about volleyball so much, but we have offense at the puck. So when I have the puck, and I have it on my stick, that's only 10% of the game. My teammates are away from the puck 40% of the game. So it says two things. One, I better be damn good when I have it, and my teammates better know how to get open for me so I can use them. If we understand that concept, we'll be pretty effective. On the defensive side, if this microphone is the opponent and he has the puck, that's defense at the puck. And then my teammates are playing away from the puck. That's how we break down this game. So it's kind of a smart issue in that we understand that concept. We have a nickname for this. But this is the ideal performance state. When you're in that state of flow. So this is like a sports psychology thing right now. And I'm not a sports psychologist. We have one that's available to us. But this is what it's all about. The optimal level of right in the middle. So you've got low to high performance and low to high energy. Sometimes you get too wound up, don't you? Sometimes you don't have enough energy. You've got to find that optimal energy level where you just got the right energy and your performance is brilliant. It's that flow state that so many people talk about. And it's something that we talk about too. Every sport needs to. And then we talk about team. This is from a book, a business book, believe it or not. It's not skill, not training, not coaching. It's teamwork that becomes the ultimate competitive edge because it is both so powerful and so rare. So you can go from a pretty good team to a magical team if you have this concept. It's rare though. It's rare to find a group of people that will sacrifice of themselves to give to each other. And I hope somewhere along your career you've had that, because then you know what I'm talking about from inside in, inside out. If you've been around people that will sacrifice of themselves to give to each other, to receive something bigger than themselves, then you got something that's very rare, but it's very powerful. So we talk about, as a team, we talk about playing on the unit as a unit of 6. Systems play. Just this emotional bank account deal, you see, I just had a young man come in today. He's not going to class. He's not meeting with his tutors. He's late for his He's late for his meetings with his coaches. So he actually was taken out of a weekend series. The most important thing to him is ice time. With he and I, as coach, he makes deposits into my emotional bank account. And if he doesn't do that, then he has withdrawals. Well, he has no bank account with me right now. He's in deep due. So he's got to learn to make these things and build this emotional bank account. We have them with all our players. And our coaches, we have to earn our players' trust as well. We have to be prepared for practice. We have to be on time. What kind of message does it send to you young people if we're late or we're not organized? Well, the coach doesn't give a rat's fanny. Why should I? So we better show up on time, and we better be damn ready to do a good job of coaching. If we're not, then you have every right to be upset. So it's an emotional bank account that goes both ways. The only real communication that can be trusted is your behavior, both on the coach's part and your part. And it's the absolute truth. All right, here's our checklist for your teammate, being a good teammate. Are you a person of integrity? Do you back up your words with action? Are you selfish or selfless? Are you honest with yourself and teammates? There's a young man that wrote a book. He was at Mellon Carnegie, The Last Lecture. Anybody read that book? Coaches have. Oh, there's a young lady back there. It's about the story of a professor that got pancreatic cancer and was going to die, so he wrote a book for his kids. He wrote a book for his kids about what meant something in his life. And one of the parts was he talked about this Dutch uncle. And what a Dutch uncle is in his world was a relative who cared enough about him to tell him the truth. He loved him enough to really let him know what was going on in his life. So he was talking about some event, and the Dutch uncle said, hey, look, you're really being a jackass here. You need to know that and straighten up. Well, we do that with our athletes in between periods. We say, fellas, we need a Dutch uncle talk here. We're winning 2-0, but we are playing like crap. We have too many blue line turnovers. We're not hitting enough, blah, blah, blah. You've heard the speech. But by doing that, we're being honest with our players, and they know what's going on, and we can move forward as a group. So this Dutch uncle concept is one that I think you could use in your own lives when you guys have a relationship with a man or a woman or your kids. Have a Dutch uncle kind of concept in your relationship so you can be honest, but they know that you care when you're giving this information. Do you respect yourself and your teammates? And these are, I think it's really hard for teammates at your age to hold each other accountable, to say to a guy, you know, you're not working your fanny off tonight, we need more from you. But you have to build on these things, on the strengths of your teammates. Do you accept your role and perform? And do you fully understand, number 4, do you fully understand that you're not perfect, nor is anyone on your team? It's okay to screw up, it happens. Let's learn to move on. We're getting near the end, so hang in there with me. Ownership is really a big key with our team. There's not a stick that's long enough for me to make any influence from the bench, nor for the coaches. Their legs aren't long enough, their arms aren't long enough to really make a difference in what's going on the court of the field. You have to take ownership of your team. You have to learn to make decisions out there on your own. So these are some guidelines. We provide guidelines. The last one, ultimately, players must solve the riddle. We talk about that every game is a riddle and there's no textbook answer. Every game we play is a riddle and there's no textbook answers. You've got to figure it out for yourself while you're on the court. The coaches can guide you. They can hold your hand a little bit, but you have to figure it out. You need to take ownership. And this is what we're all about. We're about ships. We're about relationships. We're about leadership. We're about ownership. And the ultimate ship is a team. And if you get to that point where you've got that going for yourself, remember, teamwork is very rare and is very powerful. And you can have something special if you find a group of people that are willing to give of themselves just a wee bit and go out there and make it happen. So, with that being said, even if we say all that, there are no guarantees. There are no guarantees that you will still win. But you give yourself a chance to win. There's always an X factor that's involved in winning. And I can tell you about a world championship that we won in Slovakia, a world championship that we won in Finland, and even the national championship that we won a couple of years in Milwaukee. There was an X factor. And that X Factor in Milwaukee, with less than a second to go, Boston College took a shot from the point, and it hit the post and kicked out of the net. A half an inch the other way, it could have gone in. It was our time. It was our time. We had great details. We had worked our fannies off. We had good players. We had good character. But in the end of it, it's still out of your control. And I think that's something really important that we try to share with our players. We want to get to the point where we give ourselves a chance to win and see what happens. So either way, we work hard, smart, and as a team, we walk out of that locker room or that rink with our heads held high, and we can look at each other right in the eye and know that we gave it all we had. So, with that being said, that's what we gave to our team the very first day, September 5th it was this year. And then we went from there, and now we're building, and we're correcting, and we're teaching, and we're stumbling and falling. We're 0-2 right now. We're 0-2. We were winning both games this past weekend going into the third period. We looked like world beaters at times. Well, we're implementing a new system. We got a new group of guys, and we tripped and fell in the mud last Friday and Saturday night. And we looked at each other and said, what the hell happened? Now we have a chance. I want to share one more thing with you. This guy named Viktor Frankl is a psychoanalyst out of Vienna. He's dead now. He's 95 when he passed. He's a survivor of Auschwitz. Auschwitz was one of the concentration camps in World War II. He's actually in 4 of them. He developed his mode of thinking for his psychoanalysis in the concentration camp. He said the last freedom that the Nazis could take away from us was our freedom to choose. Our freedom to choose. So there's stimulus and there's a response. And in between, we make that decision based on our will, our conscience and our faith, our imagination. He saw people in the worst conditions that you could ever imagine give their last piece of bread to somebody dying. They saw people act like pigs and steal from each other in conditions like that. So he came out of this thing thinking, you know, we as human beings have that choice, the freedom to choose. You young men and women have the freedom to choose on a day-to-day basis. So you may have just got an F on an exam. Your team may have just got their asses kicked this past weekend. What is your response? The stimulus is there. What is your response going to be? It's a huge thing. We just talked to our kids about this. I mean, we were down in the dumps. I mean, we worked our fanny out. We were pretty good for 4 out of 6 periods, and we got beat. But more important is, what was our response going to be based on those things? I hope you'll, if you take one thing away, it's this last thing here about, find this book. It's called Man's Search for Meaning. Man's Search for Meaning. It's a little book. But it talks about his experience in these concentration camps, and you cannot believe it. He wrote at the end of his book, what Germany, what World War II showed was man was capable of doing to each other. What Hiroshima showed, the H-bomb, what's at stake. So we better catch on and get it here as a human race, because those 2 incidents in history showed us what we're capable of and what's at stake. Man's Search for Meaning. It's a tremendous little read. How about from you folks? You got any questions for me? It's getting warm in here. I know I'm warm up here. Anybody? Come on, who's going to crack the ice? Let's have a coach crack the ice. I know I always got questions, right?
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
Now, you got to explain something to me about hockey. What the heck is the blue line?
Well, let me explain it this way. You know that it's on the ice, right? You can see it. It's blue. Okay. Now let's say you're going toward the blue line, and that's the kingdom on the other side of the blue line. In order to get in the kingdom, the key to the door is the puck going over first.
Okay.
So the key has to open the door before you go in, right? The puck has to go over the blue line before you can gain the kingdom.
Okay.
How's that? Not bad, huh? Good. Excellent. Yes, ma'am. Stand up, please, if you wouldn't mind. Thank you.
You've worked with many athletes before. What makes an athlete elite other than their physical attributes?
What makes an athlete elite? I think that's a really good question from the standpoint. There are many different ingredients that make up an elite athlete. Like there's natural skill, there's work ethic, there's brain power. We were just about, who's related to Joe Pavelski that was here? Is the coach still here?
Not related, no.
Oh,
No.
you know Joe, okay.
Yeah.
Joe Pavelski was a player that's here. Joe is he's an all-star center now for the San Jose Sharks. He's from Plover, Wisconsin. He played in Wisconsin 2 years and then he became a pro. He's not very fast. He's not the biggest guy out there. But the 6 inches between his ears are what make him an elite athlete. He sees and understands the game at a high level. So for Joe, it's that. Another young man that was here, a young man from Madison named Jack Skilly. Jack Skilly is playing pro hockey because Jack is 6'2", 210 pounds, can skate like the wind, and has a shot like Bobby Hull, who was a former player, could really shoot. Now, he's an elite athlete because of the physical skills he has. The 6 inches between his ears can get better, so he needs to improve that. So for each one of you here, if you want to become an elite athlete, take stock as to what is your strengths. Is it physical? Is it mental? Is it your training? When I was as a college hockey player, I was a 2-time All-American. I still lead the Wisconsin Badgers in scoring, and I will forever. That's pretty bold, isn't it? It's a little joke there. You know why that record will stand forever? Because nowadays all the real good players leave after 2 years, so they'll never break it. They're gone. The good players are gone. But when I turned pro, I was 5'10", 175 pounds playing pro. I wasn't a big guy, but I was quick. I was in great shape. I wasn't the most skilled. I maximized my strength and conditioning. I maximized what skills I had, and I saw the game pretty good. So when I left the Calgary Flames, was trying to get a job, I got a letter from my general manager to give as a reference. And he writes, Mike Eaves was a very average hockey player. Well, thanks a lot, boss. But he maximized his abilities because of his work ethic and the 6 inches between his ears. So to answer your question, I think it's different for different people. It depends on what your stock is as an athlete. That's a very insightful question. Thank you for sharing. She's embarrassed. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
So you talk about character being important in the recruiting process. Who do you find that character from? Do you talk to the Dutch uncle, or do you talk to mom and dad? Do you talk to the coach? How do you gauge
all of those? One of the neat things when we have unofficial visit or official visits on campus, we like to see the interaction between the mom and dad in terms of simple things like opening the door for their mom, taking their tray over after. Please and thank yous. We talk to the Zamboni driver, the guy that cleans the ice at the ice rink, because he sees those guys the kid doesn't know the Zamboni guy's watching, but he says he's a really good kid. He cleans up, he helps people. We ask the peripheral people because the young person may not know that we're looking, but we try to find out in those type of areas. The guidance counselor, they're going to send us letters of recommendation for the people they know, but it's the peripheral people that we try to get to find out what their true character is.
And a follow-up on that, you talked about a lot of the good hockey players leave after 2 years, and kind of similar with college basketball, how they leave quickly. Is that a consideration when you're recruiting an athlete? Do you think about that, or do you want? It's
changed our recruiting philosophy because we now talk about whether the kid's going to be a 4-year kid, 2-year, 1 year. We lost Ryan Suter, a Madison boy, on the first day of school of sophomore year. Now, where are you going to go and find a kid of that caliber the first day of school? We lost Craig Smith, a young man from Verona, at the end of July last year. It really is difficult to find those kids. Here's the thing. Here's a great stat we try to share with our kids. The young athletes that stay for 3 years and get their 3rd year under their belt, 90% of them will eventually graduate from college. The kids that only go 2 years, only 50% of them come back and finish. And the reason is life happens. They meet a gal, get married, they have kids, divorce, dogs, moving, job. They never come back. So it's really important for us to share that with the kids that they get that 3rd year under the belt because the chances, I'd like the 90% versus the 50% chance. Yes, sir.
Coach, a lot of these athletes in here have aspirations to go on after Madison College. Some of them Division I, Division II level, even Division III. Could you give us, from your perspective, coming from a Division I program, a typical day of a student athlete at Wisconsin with the demands that are put on them? Elaborate on that.
Yeah, it's pretty nuts. Our kids are in the weight room Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, sometimes 7 o'clock, 8:30, 9:30. So they train off the ice. We're on the ice from 1 o'clock to 3:30, Monday through Thursday, and then Friday we play at 7 o'clock, Saturday 7 o'clock. Our freshmen have mandatory study hours to kind of get good habits about studying, learn how the system works. It's demanding. The one thing, I would like to share this with you young people, because it doesn't matter if you end up Division I, II, or III. If you can have sports teach you some lessons, and right away the lesson that comes to mind is time management. And if you can learn to put school and athletics together and be successful at it, your job market future is bright, because the people out there that we talk to in the business world want people like you. If you can get through college combining those two things, A, they know you're a team player. B, they know you have some kind of time management skills, and that's the kind of people they want on their team. We hear it all the time. So it doesn't matter if you're 1, 2, or 3. The fact is, if you've got decent grades and you show that you completed your coursework and you were part of a team, there are business people that want you on their team. You are more apt to get a job than the average guy who just gets good grades and is part of no team or does no extracurricular activities. That is an honest-to-goodness fundamental truth that I will share with you, because we get calls all the time. So it's really important to hear that. Really important. All right. Look, I've been on the other end of where you're sitting, and I really appreciate your attentiveness. I appreciate it. I'm very thankful for the opportunity to share some things that I've crossed in my life, and I want to wish you all the best in your endeavors, and have a great year. Thank you so very much.